I'm Ellie, and I grew up in Dayton, Ohio, where our family's company, Ellison Machinery, has been a cornerstone since the 1960s. My grandpa, Frank Ellison, started it, crafting specialty machine parts for industrial clients. It's not flashy, but it's solid, employing 200 people and keeping our family going for 3 generations. My dad, Robert, took over in the 90s, and as the oldest child, I was raised to carry the torch someday. I was obsessed with Ellison Machinery from the start. As a kid, I'd tag along with Dad to the factory, mesmerized by the hum of lathes and the clank of metal. I'd sit in the office scribbling on spreadsheets, pretending to run things. By high school, I was shadowing the operations manager, learning inventory systems and production schedules. I wasn't just playing. I was hooked. I got a degree in mechanical engineering and an MBA, determined to earn my place, not ride the family name. My younger brother Ryan was the total opposite. He was the golden boy, all charm and zero effort. Growing up, Mom, Linda, and Dad let him slide on everything, skipping chores, flunking tests, even crashing the family car. That's just Ryan being Ryan, they'd laugh, while I'd get grounded for a B on a report card. Ryan got bigger allowances, fewer responsibilities, and endless excuses. Once, when I was 12, I spent a weekend cleaning the garage to earn $20 for a school trip. Ryan, 10, got $50 for helping by carrying 1 box. I'd grit my teeth, but I buried my resentment and focused on the company, thinking hard work would set me apart. At 24, I became head of operations at Ellison Machinery. I poured my soul into it, streamlining workflows, upgrading software, and negotiating better supplier deals. In 2 years, I cut costs by 15% and boosted profits by 20%. The board, mostly family, plus 2 outside advisors, sang my praises. Employees like Maria, a machinist who had known me since I was a kid, started calling me Boss Ellie with a grin. Ryan joined the company at 22, fresh out of college with a barely earned business degree. Dad pulled strings to get him through. He was put in charge of sales, a cushy role for his people skills. But Ryan was a mess, missing client meetings, sending half-baked proposals, and banking on charm over substance. His team's numbers flatlined, and I'd get stuck fixing his mistakes, like when he forgot to follow up with a major client, nearly losing their account. I suggested tools like CRM software to track leads, but he'd roll his eyes. "I've got it under control, sis," he'd say, smirking. Dad always backed him, calling Ryan's approach fresh and saying he'd grow into it. Ryan, though, was ready to fight. He leaned back in his chair, arms crossed, and smirked. "Ellie's trying to turn us into some soulless tech giant," he said. "Grandpa Frank built this place on grit, not robots." He pitched his own plan, a vague idea to rebrand with flashy ads and trade show booths. No budget, no data, just vibes. I kept my cool. "Ryan, your sales team hasn't landed a new client in 6 months. My plan's backed by numbers." He snapped. "Not everything's about numbers, Ellie. You don't get people." The board leaned toward my plan, but Dad hesitated. That night, at a family dinner at our parents' house, it all blew up. We were in the dining room, Mom's lasagna half-eaten, when Ryan started again. "Ellie's obsessed with changing everything," he said, tossing his fork down. "She's disrespecting Grandpa's legacy." I couldn't hold back. "Ryan, your department's dragging us down. You lost the Carter account because you didn't even read their RFP." Mom tried to calm things down. "Let's not fight, you two," she said, her voice shaky. But Ryan doubled down. "You think you're so smart, Ellie, but you're just bossy. Nobody likes working with you." That cut deep. Maria and the team had my back, but Ryan's words hit my fear of being seen as the uptight sibling. Dad finally spoke, his voice like ice. "Ellie, you're causing too much tension. Ryan's got a point. You're pushing too hard." I was stunned. "Dad, I'm trying to save the company. Ryan's ideas don't even have a budget." Dad shook his head. "You need to learn to compromise. Ryan's got vision. You're too rigid." I looked at Mom, desperate for backup, but she just stared at her plate. Ryan smirked across the table, and I felt my world crack. The next morning, Dad called me into his office at Ellison Machinery. The room smelled of old coffee and motor oil, a comfort that turned sour when he spoke. "Ellie, you're out," he said, avoiding my eyes. "You're causing too much conflict, and Ryan needs a chance to lead. I'm making him head of operations." I felt like the floor dropped out. "Dad, this is our family's company. I've given everything to it. Ryan doesn't even show up half the time." My voice cracked, but Dad was stone cold. "You need to learn humility, Ellie. This is for the good of the family." Tears streamed down my face as I begged, "Please, Dad, don't do this. I can fix things. I'll work with Ryan, I swear." He shook his head. "It's done. Hand over your keys." Ryan was outside the office, leaning against the wall, tossing a stress ball like it was a game. "Don't worry, sis," he said, grinning. "I've got this under control." I packed my desk. photos of Grandpa Frank, my MBA diploma, a mug Maria gave me that said Boss Ellie. Ryan watched, chuckling. Maybe take a break, Ellie. Get a hobby. Mom called later, her voice soft. Give it time, honey. Your dad's just stressed. But I was done. I went no contact with Dad and Ryan, only answering Mom's occasional texts. I'd lost my job, my legacy, and my family's trust in one blow. I moved to Chicago, 300 miles from Dayton, to start over. Those first months were brutal. I'd lie awake, replaying Ryan's smirk, Dad's cold words. I felt like a failure, like I'd let Grandpa Frank down. But I couldn't stay broken. I landed a job at Precision Dynamics, a smaller competitor making high-end machine parts. The pay was lower, but they were innovative, and I needed a fresh start. My boss, Carla, was a no-nonsense woman who saw something in me. On my first day, over lunch at a diner, she said, Ellie, your resume's impressive. You turned Ellison Machinery around. Why'd you leave? I mumbled about family differences, but her confidence lit a spark. You're going to do big things here, she said, and I believed her. I threw myself into the work, redesigning their supply chain and pitching new product lines. Within a year, I was promoted to Senior Operations Manager, then Director of Operations. We launched a precision component that's now a top seller, outpacing Ellison Machinery in 2 markets. I also started a side hustle, consulting for manufacturing startups. It began with a favor for a friend's company, but word spread, and soon I was advising 3 firms, helping them scale smartly. Financially, I was thriving. My Chicago apartment had a lake view, and I was saving for a house. More importantly, I found my confidence again. I wasn't just Ellie from Ellison Machinery, I was Ellie, period. Through Mom's texts, I heard Ellison Machinery was crumbling. Ryan's leadership was a train wreck. He ignored the outdated production line, blew millions on glitzy ad campaigns and trade show stunts that flopped, and lost a $3 million contract with a sloppy pitch. Clients were bailing, and Titan Industries, a big competitor, was circling for a buyout. Dad was stressed, but too stubborn to admit he'd backed the wrong kid. Last month, I was in my Chicago office reviewing a consulting contract when Mom called, her voice trembling. Ellie, we need you, she said, sobbing. The company's falling apart. Titan's going to buy us out if we don't turn things around. Please, come back. I thought she was joking. Mom, you guys fired me. Ryan's your star, remember? She cried harder. Your dad made a mistake. We all did. You're the only one who can save Grandpa Frank's legacy. Then Dad got on the phone. First time we'd spoken in 3 years. His voice was hoarse. Ellie, I was wrong. I trusted Ryan and I shouldn't have. He's not ready. We need you as CEO. I'll step down, give you full control. Please, save the company. I was floored. Dad, you kicked me out. You chose Ryan over me. Why should I come back? He paused, then said, Because you're the best of us. I see that now. I'm sorry. Ryan muttered in the background, This is ridiculous, but Dad shushed him. They offered me a $250,000 salary, a 40% stake, and total authority. I said I'd think about it and hung up, my head spinning. I didn't sleep that night. Part of me wanted to let them crash. Ryan's smug face deserved it, and Dad's betrayal still stung. I'd built a great life in Chicago. Precision Dynamics valued me, and my consulting business was booming. Why risk it? But I kept thinking of Grandpa Frank, who'd built Ellison Machinery from a garage working 18-hour days. I thought of the employees. Maria, who taught me to use a wrench. Tom, the warehouse guy who'd snuck me candy as a kid. If the company folded, they'd lose their jobs. And, if I'm honest, I wanted to prove I could save it. Not for Dad or Ryan, but for me. I flew to Dayton to meet Dad at Ellison Machinery. The factory looked worn. Peeling paint, machines wheezing. Dad's office felt smaller and he looked older, his hair grayer. Ryan was there, slouched in a chair, avoiding my eyes. Dad started, his voice low. Ellie, I failed you. I thought Ryan was ready, but I was wrong. He's got charm, but you've got the brains. I let my pride blind me. I'm sorry. I wasn't letting him off easy. Dad, you fired me in front of everyone. You let Ryan mock me as I left. Do you know what that did to me? He winced, rubbing his temples. I know. I was stupid. Ryan convinced me you were pushing too hard and I didn't want to lose him. But I lost you instead. Ryan finally spoke, defensive. Ellie, you were always so intense. You made everyone feel stupid. I was trying to keep things chill. I laughed, bitter. Chill? Ryan, you tanked the company. You lost the Carter account, the Larson deal. Millions gone because you couldn't do your job. He flushed, muttering, "It wasn't just me." Dad cut in. "It was a mistake, Ellie. Ryan's out of operations. We need you as CEO. Name your terms." I laid it out. Full control, no interference, my own team, and a complete overhaul. New tech, new strategies. Ryan tried to interrupt. "I should at least co-lead. I know the clients." I shut him down. "You had your chance, Ryan. You blew it." Dad nodded. "Ellie's in charge. That's final." Back in Chicago, I spent a week agonizing. I talked to my partner Jake over dinner at our favorite pizza joint. "Ellie, you don't owe them anything," he said, slicing a pepperoni. "But you're the type to regret walking away. Do it for you, not them." My therapist pointed out I was carrying anger that might lighten if I faced this head on. I called Carlette Precision, who was blunt. "You're a star here, Ellie, but if that company's your legacy, you might want to save it. Just don't let them walk over you again." I thought of Grandpa Frank's stories about starting Ellison Machinery, working till dawn in a freezing garage. I thought of Maria's text. "Ellie, we need you back. It's not the same." In the end, I decided to return. Not to bail out Dad or Ryan, but to rebuild the company into something better, something mine. I signed the contract as CEO with a clause ensuring Dad couldn't overrule me and Ryan had no say in major decisions. I started a month ago, and it's been chaos. Ellison Machinery was worse off than I thought. Debts piling up, machines breaking down, morale shot. I brought in 2 colleagues from Precision, Sarah, a logistics genius, as COO, and Malik, a sales pro, to rebuild Ryan's team. Ryan was demoted to a junior sales role, reporting to Malik. He's sulky, showing up late and whining about teamwork, but I keep it professional. He's family, but he's on thin ice. My first week, I met with the employees in the factory break room. Maria hugged me, her hands greasy from a machine. "Boss Ellie's back," she said, grinning. I laid out my plan. New automation, digital sales systems, a pivot to high-precision parts for growing industries. Some old-timers grumbled, but most were relieved. Tom, the warehouse guy, pulled me aside. "We knew Ryan was in over his head. You're our shot, kid." I secured a $3 million bridge loan, negotiating hard with the bank. We're installing the automation I pitched 3 years ago, and Malik's team landed a new client already. It's 80-hour weeks, and I'm exhausted, but seeing the factory hum again feels right. Last Friday, I walked to the floor and saw Maria training a new hire on the robotic line. She waved me over, grinning. "This thing's slick, Ellie. You were right." I nearly cried. Dad's an advisor now, mostly staying out of my way. Last week, we had a real talk at his house, just the 2 of us. He poured coffee, his hands shaking. "Ellie, I was scared of losing Ryan, so I pushed you away. I'll regret it forever." I took a deep breath. "I forgive you, Dad, but I'm doing this my way. No more favorites." He nodded, tears in his eyes. "We're rebuilding trust, but it's slow." Ryan's another story. He's bitter, barely speaking unless it's work-related. At a recent meeting, he tried to pitch a big idea for a trade show, but Malik shut it down with data showing it wouldn't work. I didn't gloat. I don't need to. Ryan's learning he's not the golden boy anymore. I'm not here to rub it in their faces. I'm rebuilding Ellison Machinery to honor Grandpa Frank and prove what I'm capable of. The company's not out of the woods, but we're gaining ground. I'm not the Ellie who left 3 years ago, broken and betrayed. I'm stronger, and this is my legacy now.